Hi and good evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I am Buddham. Now the latest headlines from world channels and news agencies.
Purported leak.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
War and Peace, the abridged edition. Good evening, I'm John Dickerson.
I'm Maurice Dubois. A trade war broke out today between the United States and its neighbors after President Trump threatened Canada and Mexico with new tariffs, and they retaliated.
But hours later, it was over before a single tariff was fired across any border. Financial markets got rattled, though. More about that in a moment.
Trump's new tariffs on imports from China are still set to begin tomorrow. Jason Allen in Laredo, Texas reports American businesses are getting ready to pass along their higher costs to consumers. Jason.
Behind me is one of the bridges that carries as many as 20,000 trucks a day between the U.S. and Mexico. Now, it's quieter tonight because it's a holiday over in Mexico, but Border Protection and importers told me traffic has been heavier recently as retailers try to get ahead of higher prices.
At the Old Tune and Lube in Laredo, Texas.
We'll get it back to you with pricing, okay?
Manager Luis Guzman has been stocking as many oil filters, brake pads, and engine parts as he can, trying to beat the price increases 25% tariffs could bring.
How many of the parts you get are probably coming from manufacturers in Mexico?
If I want to say a rough estimate, maybe a good 60%, 50% parts come from there.
Across town, Rick Laurel's warehouse has been filling up for weeks with products such as makeup, cardboard tubing.
Tonight, the temporary truce in the trade war just hours before a key deadline as Elon Musk tries to make his mark on the government. Tonight, a last-minute pause on President Trump's trade war with Canada and Mexico. Their new promises that pulled world markets back from the brink, where things stand now, and what it could all mean for everything from trucks to tomatoes. It comes as the president and Elon Musk look to reshape the federal government with a new title for the world's richest man, Special Government Employee. The standoff at the FBI over the push to clean house. American foreign aid at a standstill. Pete Hegseth's first trip to the border as defense secretary, and our exclusive report on how ICE has already released some of those newly detained migrants back into the U.S. The brand new images of the aftermath of the mid-air collision in Washington as the wreckage is raised from the deep, pulled from the Potomac. The legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. The new warning from a judge today in court. Paralyzed from the chest down until a brain chip changed everything. We'll take you inside the mind-bending technology, bringing sensation back to one man's body.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Tonight, the breaking news as we come on the air involving President Trump's trade war with Canada and Mexico. After two phone calls with Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, what President Trump has now just agreed to, just hours after putting tariffs on hold for Mexico after a call with Mexico's president. Markets rattled overnight, and this morning the market swings, and the conservative Wall Street Journal calling this the dumbest trade war in history, with millions of Americans bracing for the potential for higher prices. So what the president got from Mexico and Canada tonight, and he was asked in the Oval Office, were you paying attention to the markets? Did you blink? Also tonight, new questions about Elon Musk's role, now a special government employee. So what is that? And Democrats tonight asking, why was Musk given access to the payment systems for millions of Americans at the Treasury Department? Tonight, President Trump answering that question, saying Musk was given access to let people go that he thinks are no good, if we agree with him. Tonight, the chilling first images of the fuselage being pulled from the Potomac, American Airlines Flight 5342. We also have new reporting tonight on the Black Hawk and how high it might have been flying. There are new questions on this tonight. And in Philadelphia this evening, the jet crash that killed 7, the black box, has now been found inside a crater 8 feet deep from that crash. The plane in the air less than a minute. And the boy in a car who had metal from the plane in his head, he has survived surgery. We have news on his condition tonight. The scare on board a United Airlines flight to New York City, flame scene coming from the engine. The horrific scene in court today, a hearing in a murder case erupting into a courtroom brawl. Tonight, the pileup on the highway here in the Northeast as we track two major storms. One hitting now, the other a potential ice storm from the Midwest right into the Northeast. Lee Goldberg has the new forecast. The driver plunging 100 feet off the highway to rescue tonight. And California's heroes take center stage at the Grammys. The tributes to the firefighters, the first responders, and thousands who lost everything. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
But the party is still having a bit of an identity crisis after the 2024 election losses. The Wall Street Journal said Democrats have a new leader, but haven't come to grips with failure. Faz Shakir is a former candidate for DNC chair and former campaign manager for Bernie Sanders. One of the things that I noticed was that the Atlantic and the New York Times said, first of all, the Democrats show why they lost. The party seemed to be at pains to demonstrate that it learned nothing from its defeat, and that we have no coherent message. Democrats struggle to oppose Trump. And this comes as you have the highest number of voters with an unfavorable view of the Democrats at 57%. You were trying to change that. It came up a little bit short. What did you want them to do?
Well, I'm a pro-labor, pro-union guy, Dana, and that's what makes me a Democrat. I'm bothered by massive wealth and income inequality in society, and it does frustrate me when I see a lot of my friends on the left and Democratic Party focusing on identity politics divisions. You need solidarity of a working class if you're going to take on massive wealth and power. You can't be saying, hey, I'm Latino and I get a seat on this committee, you're a trans person over here, black person over there. You got to have solidarity of everybody in order to get universal health care, raise the minimum wage to a living wage. Those are the things that drive me.
Faz, can I jump in real quick and play? I just want to play this one soundbite for you to react to. This is Jamie Harrison, the outgoing DNC chair, and what he said.
Our rules specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced. At this
Breaking news this Monday night, tariff deadline delayed. The last-minute deal between the Canadian Prime Minister and the U.S. President to avert a trade war for now. What it means for the stock market mayhem and calls to buy Canadian and boycott American.
We have to respond in kind.
Plus, how the provinces are responding to the tariff threat. And where does it leave the long-standing relationship between Canada and its closest neighbor?
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Today, floodwaters peak in Townsville, but authorities warn residents to remain vigilant.
We believe that the danger has passed. However, we are still asking people to remain alert.
South Australia set to swelter as a cool change sweeps across southern Victoria. Trading barbs, the US president agrees to pause sweeping tariffs on Mexico and Canada as China braces for a trade war. And a Queensland community mourns a 17-year-old girl killed in a shark attack. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Ros Childs.
Good morning. 6 o'clock on today's show. Bruises, maggots and neglect. Sky News investigates damning standards in Britain's care homes.
Plus, Nigel Farage's Reform UK tops the polls for the first time, overtaking Labour and the Conservatives.
Bring you those details on Tuesday, the 4th of February. Inside British care homes, Sky News reveals how our most vulnerable are being failed by those supposed to look after them.
There had been maggots in her skin cancer.
Maggots in a wound.
Yeah. Also ahead, the NHS refuses to publish a report into Nottingham killer Valdo Callicane to protect his privacy. A 15-year-old boy stabbed to death at a school in Sheffield has been named as Harvey witness. China hits back with retaliatory tariffs against the United States. Say trees, the Princess of Wales poses for a picture taken by her youngest son to mark World Cancer Day. Plus, Manchester City spent £50 million to sign Nico Gonzalez on transfer deadline day, while Tottenham leave it late to announce the arrival of Bayern Munich's Matt Estelle.
Hello and a very warm welcome to you if you're just joining us. You're watching Daybreak here on France 24 with me, Eve Irvine. These are our headlines. Postponed for the third time now, US President Donald Trump's threatened tariffs on Mexico and Canada have once again been suspended, coming after talks that saw both of those countries agree to reinforce checks along their borders. The office of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas says ethnic cleansing is happening in the West Bank as Israel's military continues airstrikes there. Violence in and around the city of Jenin increasing while talks for a second phase of the ceasefire in Gaza get underway. Expected to keep his job despite pushing through a controversial financial plan without validation from France's divided parliament, Prime Minister François Bayrou faces a motion of no confidence, but it looks like he does have enough support to survive. Glad you could join us. Well, also coming up, more international press review and a sexual assault case here in France making headlines across at the New York Times. French film director found guilty of sexual assault of a child actor but spared jail time. We'll be seeing how that is going down in the newspapers.
This is Asia Now.
It's 2 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 11:30 in New Delhi, and 1 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Paul Singh. At this hour, China retaliates against the U.S. after President Donald Trump's 10% tariffs take effect. Beijing imposing its own levies on American goods and launching an antitrust investigation into Google. South Korea's Kakao inks a deal with OpenAI to develop artificial intelligence products geared towards the local market. And Australia's Queensland state braces for more destruction as deadly floods devastate communities in the northeast.
Outside the morgue at Goma's North Kivu Hospital on Monday, Red Cross workers piled bodies into a large truck. A week ago, Rwanda-backed M23 rebels claimed control of the strategic eastern Congolese city after capturing several surrounding towns in January. Outside the morgue, Chizenyenzi cried as she looked at a photo of her son who was killed. She's unable to find his body. The soldier came from behind him. Member of the Congolese army allied militia shot him in the back. It went out of his chest. The child fell off the motorcycle. The bullet passed through and hit another person behind him. The bullet entered and entered him through the chest. His entire chest was open. M23, backed by 4,000 Rwandan troops, is stronger than in 2012, when they were eventually pushed out of DRC. But analysts say pushing them back this time will be a lot harder. Staffers at the US Agency for International Development have been instructed to stay out of the agency's Washington headquarters after billionaire Elon Musk announced that Donald Trump had agreed with him to shut the agency down. This is according to a notice distributed to staff early Monday. Musk, Trump, and some Republican lawmakers have increasingly targeted the U.S. Aid and Development Agency, which oversees humanitarian, development, and security programs in over 120 countries. They've accused it of promoting liberal causes. USAID staffers say that approximately 600 employees were locked out of the agency's computer systems overnight. Those still able to access the system received emails stating that the headquarters building would be closed to agency personnel on Monday, the 3rd of February. Democratic lawmakers have protested these developments, arguing that Trump lacks the constitutional authority to shut down USAID without congressional approval. During his 5-day visit to Central America, the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has warned the Panamanian president over what Washington considers heavy Chinese influence over the Panama Canal. Panama has rejected the claim. Another key topic discussed was curbing illegal immigration. We spoke at length about the immigration problem, clearly recognizing that Panama is a transit. Panamanians are not about to emigrate to nowhere. We live here, we stay here. But what if it affects us? The meeting hopes to bring Panama and the US closer together economically and politically.
Today it's one of our strongest economic partners, certainly in the hemisphere, and an important catalyst for so much trade and commerce that happens in the United States that affects and impacts so many people, both going out and coming in, and so it's a great place to come visit first.
Despite the positive outcome of the meeting, 200 people marched in Panama's capital, carrying Panamanian flags and shouting Marco Rubio out of Panama. Some burned a banner with images of Trump and the US Secretary of State. Rubio's trip will next take him to El Salvador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and the Dominican Republic.
Egyptian Foreign Minister Badel Abdelati stated that his country has a plan for the reconstruction of Gaza that does not involve displacing Palestinians from their land. Abdelati's remark on Sunday during a joint briefing indirectly addressed US President Donald Trump's proposal for Egypt and Jordan to accommodate Palestinians from Gaza in order to clean out the whole thing. We have a clear vision regarding the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip without this leading to the expulsion of any citizen from his land. We have a clear vision in this regard. Djibouti Foreign Minister Mahmoud Ali Yusuf supported the move. On the issue of Gaza, Djibouti supports Egypt's position and praises the role of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the issue of establishing a ceasefire. As Minister Badel Abdelati said, the Arab position is clear. We see that the final solution to this issue will be the establishment of a Palestinian state alongside the state of Israel, living in security and peace alongside it. And this is an indispensable legitimate demand. All talk about deporting Palestinians is rejected in its entirety. A convoy of trucks was seen at the Rafah border crossing on Sunday morning as the ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel continued to strengthen. The Rafah border with Egypt reopened on Saturday to allow thousands of Palestinians in urgent need of medical assistance to cross.
Thank you for sparing your precious time. This is Amir Shakil. Have a good life. Bye-bye.